Good morning, Britain. A ban on the forced installation of prepayment meters for the over 85 suppliers. And you're trying to get to someone who has called 999, something that happens swiftly. And as we know, too long for an ambulance. More than 2 days. More than 2 days. Figures released show that in the 38 minutes and 13 seconds, my goodness, the seconds should really be the 3 call. Now, that is classed as someone in the late stages of labour. Be waiting 2 days.
But there's also,
you know, hours before her shift. She's been in bed comfortably, and then she wakes up. If the ambulance had come earlier, would that have meant a different outcome? Sitting around having cups of tea and slices of cake, wondering what to do with the...
But if you look at these stories, you think...
Automatically, I feel that's devastating. Requires firms to do a further assessment of vulnerability. We'll have someone coming in and forcibly putting in a meter. This is anyone aged, pregnant women and people with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, schizophrenia. Ordered courts to stop listing hearings for these warrants. And that order has not been lifted for this bit of undercover journalism. And it's led to some real action.
It's 84?
Not quite a sledgehammer, but the footage from about an hour's time, we have a day in the life of a paramedic. I mean, the party, in fact, showing that in the northwest, a patient waited 65 hours, 38, and that some patients are being left for more than 2 days for an ambulance. I mean, we heard just now from a mum who's... Good morning, Britain. It has just gone 6 o'clock. Welcome to the programme. This morning, we have this remarkable film about what it is actually like if you are in an ambulance. You know, increasing pressure on the NHS means that too long people are waiting far. And say that. In some cases, people are waiting. Northwest, one patient waited 65 hours. Urgent but not immediately life-threatening. But that might be...
evidence there of Category 2 call-outs.
Absolutely shocking. And we would like to know this morning, have you been in a terrible situation? Whenever we talk about this, people get in touch telling us, particularly, I would say, elderly people. If you have an elderly person in your life who suffered a fall, because we see terrible stories of people waiting hours and hours when they're on their own and they've fallen. And the paramedic who we are going to talk to this morning says that's one of the hardest things that she has to deal with, knowing that, and hears that she now has to go out to an elderly person who might have been lying on their bedroom floor for hours.
And there's also reports today that 196,000... If you've had direct experience where an operation, a procedure, has had to be postponed or cancelled because of the strikes which have been affecting the NHS, whether it's an ambulance not arriving or an appointment or procedure which didn't go ahead because of the strikes or other wider shortages, if you email, Facebook, text to us, then we can make sure that we put those issues to the government and to the opposition when we speak to them over the course of this programme in the coming days.
Yeah. Today's top story at 6:05 is that within the next hour this morning, the energy watchdog Ofgem is expected to announce that every single supplier in England, Wales and Scotland has agreed to strict new rules over installing prepayment meters. Now, vulnerable customers, including people over the age of 85 and those with terminal illness, will not have to switch to a prepayment meter under any circumstances.
Other measures will see people who are struggling to pay their bills given more time to clear their debts, and staff who are sent into people's homes will be ordered to wear body cameras. And Jonathan Swain's in Wimbledon.
News this morning. Here's Ranveer with the rest of the...
A vegan quiche.
Yeah?
Doesn't really work.
Doesn't really work.
Well, it doesn't really work if you're not vegan. You know, if you're vegan, it works, doesn't it?
Butter and...
everything plant.
Vegan
But
cheese.
just put the word plant in
milk.
front of things and it makes it vegan. You're right.
I make a vegan cake, actually.
Well, there we go.
Just say.
And what do you use instead of eggs?
It doesn't need eggs.
There we go. So we'll do a quiche without eggs.
Good. Not sure.
You're not convinced?
Not